Hello, hello, hello there. This is Nicole M. Louie, the social worker strategy mentor. I hope that you're well today. We're doing part 2 of how to balance your work with becoming an independent social worker, starting your own practice. Again, the reason why I'm doing this is because so many social workers struggle with how to figure out how to balance the two so that they're actually having time to do the implementation and work of starting their own practice. So part 1 was on Tuesday. If you haven't seen that, go and watch that first. And I've given some tips and shared some information with you there and then about what you can start doing, but there's quite a number of things. So I want to split it into 2 live streams. So today is part 2. Okay, so you're going to get your notepad and pen. If you haven't already got it, please, while you're doing that also, I want you to tag somebody that you know, social worker that you know that would benefit from this, and share this also so that they can find it. The reason, actually this week, I told you the reason why I started doing this live stream on this topic in my last video. But what I do want to say is recently, this week, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I think it was the day before, in the evening, I posted something in a group, and the social worker came back and said, oh, this sounds great in terms of an option of something to do. So it's great advice, but it's not realistic in terms of delegating and sharing information with professionals, because that was something that I said in my last live, and I'm going to go into that a bit more detail in this live. And I said it absolutely is. And she actually identified that it was around boundaries and a lack of boundaries. And I've done a live stream about boundaries already, so you could go and take a look at that one too. But we kind of discussed that very briefly, and she hit the nail on the head when she said most times social workers don't know how to say no. And that's part of the issue of why social workers struggle to find the time to just have a life outside of work, let alone finding time to become fully independent. So the things I'm going to share with you are things that are actually going to help you and assist you and are very practical. I've got like 6 things that are very tangible that you can go away and start implementing today, as it pertains to you finding time and carving out time to be able to become an independent social worker and to just do other things that you want to do that you love. Okay, so without further ado, as I said, make sure you've got your notepad and pen. And if this is something that you are struggling with and you actually want support with, DM me the word launcher, and we can jump on a call and I can see how I can assist you to move forward. And maybe we may be a fit to work together so you can actually get the help to, I guess, fast track your journey into independence. Okay, so let's carry on. This is part 2. So the first one was about auditing, and I gave you the tips on what you need to do to be able to audit. This time I'm going to, let me put this on silent, it's going to distract me. This time I want to give you some information about being organized and having systems. And I think the stuff around boundaries that actually was raised is a really good point as well. But I've done videos on boundaries, so you could go look for those and figure that out. But these 6 things around organization are some practical things that you can absolutely do that will allow you to better manage your time effectively and just to feel more in control and on top of things. And so you are not the only one doing things. Remember, when we are working with families, it's multi-agency. And so a lot of the time we take on most of the tasks as a social worker, and people are firing requests left, right, and center in our direction and asking for updates from us, and we're constantly catching our tail. Or shall I say you? And so these are things that, having implemented them, they absolutely work. So the first thing is having an organized email section. Have folders according to, and again, I'm directing this at children and families. You can apply it to adults or wherever you are. Have folders. So in your email slot, don't just have an inbox full of stuff. Your inbox should only have the things that you need to work on there and then and required to do that day, new stuff coming in. Have your child in need, lack, child protection, transfer, case closures, all the different relevant ones that are folders. And then you are going to have within those the names of the families that you're working with. So you can actually put your emails and direct them into those folders. And so you know where all your stuff is immediately. You will save tons of time searching for emails and searching for information contained within the emails. That's the most pivotal point. I tended to only move them from my inbox into my other folder once I had actually copy and pasted them onto the system. And it means that, you know, a lot of the time, most of the time, you know, my work was up to date. My work was up to date in terms of what was on the system. And so that's going to be really beneficial. And as families move and transition from child in need to child protection to transferred or closed, you move the family into the relevant box, and you're able to see what you're really working with. So stuff in your inbox are pressing things that you either just need to address there and then, or come to it at another point and then move them into a relevant box. That is a time saver. So if you're not already doing that, do that. Templates, have templates of your writings, how you usually attack a particular assessment with a particular type of issue, and you have a basis on which to springboard from. So I always had my books that I had read, pieces of research that I always were my go-to, things like that. Have a catalogue, a repertoire, a little bucket list, a little backpack, whatever you want to call it, and make sure that you have those things there so that you can utilize them. I always found that really beneficial because oftentimes the same issues come up, but there are nuances. And so you can draw from those different templates and bring them together and more quickly be able to look at what the risk factors are, look at what the strengths are, or the grey areas, and the things that you need to be doing, the actions and the kind of recommendations you might want to make. Those things are also time savers as well. When you're on home visits, making sure that you're prepping. I used to always be clear about what the purpose of this particular home visit is and do headings accordingly, so I don't get kind of railroaded into a different direction. I'm very clear and strategic about what I'm going for, and I make sure that I leave that visit with the information that I need. Anything over and above that is cool in terms of what the family need to explore also with me. But you know, usually ahead of time, I would have made sure that I've addressed anything and called them and checked in. If anything comes up, then it can be dealt with, but make sure that you leave with the stuff that you need. So make sure that you're methodical and you've put headings. This is a time saver also, because when you go to write it up, you've got things in headings, especially if something happens on a case and you don't get to it straight away and you only get to write it up next week. You're not having to worry about, okay, what happened? There might be pieces and threads that you might have missed because you haven't written it down. So having headings means that you can jump from one place to the next in your book as the family are kind of throwing information at you, and you're not missing anything pertinent, and you're able to go back when you're writing it up and have a really clear way of being able to put things in their headings and in the right place, and correlate things from the last visit when you've headed it out in the very same way. When you'll finish your visits, if you haven't got a notebook and it was one of those ones where you just went out on the hop, dictate it using those headings from your mind. If you've got a template, you know what your headings are, so dictate it in a phone to yourself, whether that's on your WhatsApp, on the work phone, or using the speech and send it as a text. You know, whatever it might be, and you can, or even in your notes section, and have that there. So all you've got to do then is copy and paste it and just do some editing. That is time saving. It might seem like it's a lot to get organized and put in place, but if you actually stick to that, you will find consistently that it will save you time in the long run doing all of these different things. The other thing I've mentioned about the segment in email folders, you want to do the same in terms of on your folder on your desktop. In Word, I used to tend to write in Word, so that if something happened with the system and it decided to glitch, I didn't lose my work. And I sometimes even had hard copy folders where I printed off some of the salient things and I color coordinated it according to CP, SIN, blah, blah, blah. So I had information, so I didn't always have to be using the screen in my eyes. Speaking of which, and then the other thing is schedule. What have I got here? When you're doing reports and assessments, any deadlines, I spoke to you about this in the last one, talking about being really clear about what your deadlines and assessments you're completing tasks are. Give yourself between 3 as a minimum to 5 days ahead of it being required to complete it. We do get emergencies and there are always things that we need to do, but regardless to whether you've just come off duty, Oh yeah, that's why I don't wear it, because the glare. Because we come off duty, you get a case, something needs to be dealt with, you can still try to schedule it and map it out. That's why going back to the drawing board with all the new cases you've got and seeing, okay, where does this now fit in with what I already have? Believe you me, taking that 20 minutes, half an hour to do that will save you time in the long run, and planning it methodically, because then you know you can move things about. It also puts you in a position of being able to negotiate where something is now more pressing and you can't commit to another deadline. You can be forearmed and forewarn your manager, which is going to make for everyone's life a lot easier. And the last thing that I would say is give email updates to your manager and professionals that you're working with. I used to do that on a weekly basis, so I didn't have people chasing me. I also used to delegate some tasks and actions for people to do, so oftentimes I was waiting for them to come back to me, and so it just meant I was sharing the load. I didn't have to do everything. I'd be making sure that we were doing joint visits or asking them to do visits, because it is multi-agency working, and that's what kind of came up in the the post that I recently did. The person was kind of suggesting that it just doesn't work like that. Well, it only doesn't work like that because you're not expecting it to, you don't have an expectation to, and you're not making provision for it to. You have to be clear about what you need, what you want. That's going to make your life easier so you can deliver and do his best job. It's called working together. And so that's important. And I have been even in times where I've sat down with my managers, and depending on what I've got going on, if I've suddenly got so much on my plate, I'd ask, well, can you do this as a manager? Could you actually check this for me and come back to me with this date, or whatever it may be? One task, it doesn't matter. It is still a help. It still means that you are getting a reprieve from, having to do everything. And so when you think about that across the board with the amount of professionals that we're working with, let alone families, give families things that need to be done, make calls, whatever it might be. And so, understanding that multi-agency working is just that. It's not just supposed to be you doing all the tasks. All of these things together will free you up and give you more time. And this is the stuff that I had put together with templates in my Get Organized system. If that's something that you would like access to, then please let me know, and I can send you a link of how you can purchase that. It's something like £30, £20, but it's got all the templates that you can print off and reuse. I also have scripts of what you can email to your manager and how to set it out, how to lay it out. I can tell you that this was something that really helped me and assisted me, and my manager appreciated it because she knew every week what was going on, and that was important. It might sound like, okay, weekly is a lot. Once you've got your pro forma, it's literally about updating it from the last one. And as I said, updating it according to what professionals have shared or giving them tasks to do. That is going to assist you to help the family better and safeguard. So you can DM me organized to do that. And if you would want help with kind of putting things like this together, because when I'm working with my mentees, I've just somebody else has come to me just today wanting my support, so we're going to start working together. And these are the things that we are going to be working on together, so that when you're in your role and you are working, and now you are even if you're working with me, there are still things that you may have to do as you start to get your business together. And so you are going to need to learn the habit and discipline of having boundaries and setting boundaries and having systems so that you can actually move forward. Because even when you work for yourself, you have to use the same thing. You have to be able to pivot and utilize the same skills and transfer them so that you can actually function as an independent and manage many different things. So it's really important. These skills are important. So if you are a social worker who wants to be independent, and you'll find that you do not have the time to be independent and you can't see how you're going to do it, you're worried about the finances, all of the above, I cover that in my program when I'm working with you, whether it's on a one-to-one or in the community or in the bootcamp bundle experience that I have for you. So go ahead and contact me, DM me the word launcher if you would like to get on a call with me to figure out how I can help you more and whether or not we're fit to work together to move you forward. Regardless to whether we work together or not, I always leave people with golden nuggets as to what they can do, and they go and implement it. And I have people messaging me all the time saying, thank you so much for that information. I've put this in, this giving me so much clarity. I've done this, I've done that. I'm seeing things moving. I've been inspired to have a conversation with my friend now to kind of buddy up and start going independent. So these things work. Okay, so don't feel that you're on your own or that you have to do it alone. Okay, because I am here and there's a whole community of us launchers that are doing this together. So I have got next time I'm here with you is on Sunday, and my live stream that I'm going to be doing is how you can create additional income to fund your business. So if that's a topic you're interested in, make sure that you are there. That's going to be at 6 p.m. on Sunday. And then Tuesday, because I'm here Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 6 p.m. Okay, so on Tuesday, I'm going to actually be going through how you can recover money from local authorities and agencies who owe you money. And this is a great topic for those of you who are semi-independent. You don't want to miss that. Okay, so make sure you share the word, let your social worker, colleague, friends know, make sure you're tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.